In a world where information seems to travel at the speed of light and traffic at a snail's pace, where the agenda of those at the helm doesn't always reflect the pressures on the streets, where the rubber hits the road, where there's queue of issues needing to be interrogated in the name of speaking truth to power.
Welcome to a place at the table,
where we set the agenda,
table the issues that matter to you,
and invite you to take a seat at the table.
Welcome. What's a place at the table without some thought-provoking conversations? I'm asking, is Lagos really a no man's land? Welcome back, Wamaka.
Speaking as one Lagosian to another, I'll say I've come at a good time to throw my weight behind this conversation. I'm tackling our population explosion, a ticking time bomb, no less.
Well, Maka, your topic has my name on it. I'm taking on a daily crisis from an existential position. I've titled it Insecurity and Existential Threats.
And Day, our resident philosopher, we expect no less from you. Well, my contribution to today's menu is on the power of accountability and how the press can wield this power.
Osha traveling journalist, we have come to expect this flavor from you. I'm speaking out for boys. Well, somebody has to, right?
Right.
Oh, sure.
Okay, I imagine you're already in anticipation of what today's conversation will bring. Actually, so am I. I am a Lagosian and also a Shagamite from Remo, Ogun State. I got the privilege of claiming Lagos State, the land of my birth, and Ogun State, the land of my ancestral heritage. Not so for many whose ancestral home is Lagos. Many often use the mantra of Lagos as a no man's land to justify their indigeneity. They say it for the following reasons. Birth. Many were born and bred in Lagos like me. They know no other place as home. Tax. Many pay their taxes to the Lagos State government, which confers on them the right to hold the government accountable. The law. Many believe the Constitution confers on them the rights of an indigene. Do I think this is enough to claim Lagos as one state of origin? Yes, I do. After all, the FAC allocation to Lagos is based on headcount and not state of origin. But is it enough to say Lagos is a no man's land? No, it is not. Out of the population of Dubai, which is about 3.5 million people, only 8% are Emirati. The vast majority are expatriates. What you won't hear is the 92% telling the 8% that Dubai is a no man's land, because it is not. Lagos is not a no man's land. It is the land of the Aworis in Lagos Island and the mainland. There goes in Badagry, the descendants of free slaves, and later the Ijebus in Ekwe and Ikorodu. Eko has a long history as a major trading hub, attracting various groups like the Portuguese, who later gave it the name Lagos, meaning lakes. It is a place that has always thrived and benefited from the diversity it attracts. As we approach a new election season, let us be sensitive in our conversation and our communication. The fact that Lagos is both a cosmopolitan state and the ancestral land of the Aworis can be true at the same time. Let's avoid rhetoric that pits people, tribes, and communities against each other. Lagos will not be Lagos without the people, and the people will not be in Lagos without the existence of Lagos.
Okay, we should still be able to see while crying, right? Because when people say things like Lagos is a no man's land, I consider it very disrespectful to the indigenous Lagosians, because it implies that Lagos has no distinctive cultural and historical ownership. And it also erases the native communities. As much as Lagos has been quite acceptant of other people's cultures, other individuals from all over the world and not just Nigeria, it doesn't mean we should be disrespectful to the indigenous Lagosians or not acknowledge their existence and the impact and the amount of effort they have put into developing Lagos as it is.
quick.
Well, for me, Yinka, I don't know if you set out to confuse us. In one breath, you're advocating for all Lagosians, and in another breath, you're carefully excluding them from some privileges. So let me say, yes, I agree that staying in no man's land perhaps is not responsible, but I'll say Lagos is the land of all Lagosians as provided by the Constitution, which you alluded to. So you see, you mentioned tax, what the Constitution says, and I feel that confers on any Lagosian every right if we are truly going to build a nation. You know, Lagos prides itself as the first among equals, and I think this has to also reflect in the political leadership. If Lagos is not able to do it, I don't see any state that can do it. Until we see an Igbo man, a Hausa man, a Kanuri man, as governor of Lagos State, it's not going to happen anywhere else. And I'm not saying that should happen only in Lagos, but I'm just saying, of course, Lagos is one of the places you would think.
It's the example.
Yes, it's the example that others should follow. And you know, it gives birth to what the Gwaris are complaining about now in FCT. You bring an FCT minister, they have no say, so they're asking for an assembly, they're asking for a mayor, they're asking for elective. But yeah, that's just my take. I agree that it's not a no man's land. And as Zuma said, we must acknowledge the locals, the ancestral heritage and all that. But if we are truly going to build this nation called Nigeria, we have to see it from Lagos.
Great. Fantastic.
Well, you just said something, Andy, that got me thinking. So that means that Abuja has succeeded in this part of, you know, people from wherever in Nigeria can be the governor.
That's a multicultural.
Yes, you just want something
the government imposes a minister on them. It's not like they select the minister.
It's not an elected position.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah. But I find your advocacy very thought-provoking because I have heard the term no man's land. And, you know, I'm not an indigenous Lagosian, so I haven't found it offensive. Because of the, you know, the fact that I was born here and I mean, everything, I've lived in Lagos
you are
almost
a foundational
all my life.
Lagosian,
Yes,
but not an indigenous Lagosian.
Exactly. But then the way you split the hairs, I thought, you know, for me, was an education. And so I've adjusted my views based on your advocacy. So, you know, you were able to differentiate the need for all Lagosians, you know, to be included without, and at the same time acknowledge the rights of the indigenous people. So I thought I don't have much to say about, you know, what you have, your advocacy as written. For me, was more like an education. So I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I think the phrase no man's land is the term you find being used for multicultural cities. I took a quick dive into why London is called no man's land, and it was quite an education because of its multicultural nature, complex social fabric, a melting pot, slavery back then, you know, poverty, even exclusion also. All of these made London, it's the nature of cosmopolitan cities. Yeah. I like that Ande talked about Abuja as well, because, I mean, that's what Abuja is. It looks like it's the second multicultural space in Nigeria. Having said that, you always see that indigenes always fight back. And, I mean, that's the thinking behind Trump's second coming and the MAGA thingy. Make America Great Again is about them pushing back, because there were statistics that say that the non-whites were going to take over America in no time. There were statistics. And if you look at the UK, just recently, you could see the immigration reform. It's the indigenous people of London, of the UK, fighting back to say, this is our land. So Lagos is the land of some people. We must respect that. I think at the heart of this is respecting the indigenous people of Abuja, of Lagos. And when we say no man's land, let's use it loosely, that this is a place that welcomes everyone, and then we don't take that for granted.
Where conversations are layered and nuanced, let's not drum it down to suit our selfish agendas.
I'm with you, Yinka. Let's not speak in crude terms about matters that deserve to be handled with care and sensitivity. Nigeria stands at a crossroads. With a population of over 230 million as of 2024, according to Worldometer, and growing at a 2.1% annually, according to the World Bank, we are on track to become the third most populous country in the world by 2050. But this growth is stretching our limited resources, and our children are paying the price. Across northern Nigeria, millions of Almajiri children roam the streets, forced into begging under the guise of religious education. In Lagos, young children weave through traffic, begging for survival, instead of sitting in classrooms. Today, Nigeria has the highest out-of-school population children globally, with over 10.5 million children aged 5 to 14 years out of school, according to UNICEF Nigeria. And these children are not invisible. And by ignoring them, we're building a dangerous future. Many of these abandoned children fall into petty crime, hooliganism, and the growing culture of rent-seeking, now visible in our urban centers. Cities like Lagos and Kano are already grappling with youth gangs, extortion, and political thuggery, signs of a nation that has failed its youngest citizen. At the root of this crisis is our high fertility rate. 4.48 births per woman, according to the World Bank. Now, high birth rates drive rapid population growth, and without matching investment in education and economic opportunity, the result is a generation without hope. If we continue on this path, Nigeria will surpass 400 million citizens by 2050, many young, angry, and without prospects. But it's not too late. We must urgently reform the Almajiri system, invest heavily in quality education, prioritize access to family planning, and create real economic pathways for our youth. Population should be a strength, not a burden. The time to act is now.
Maybe I'll go first, because for me, the issue of out-of-school children always riles me up. We've spoken about it. Look at the figure, highest in the world. It's staggering, and nothing is happening. By nothing, I mean nothing at scale. We're not talking of 1 or 2 knee-jerk programs. No, nothing at scale is being done to change that trend. How we normalize absurdities, I don't know. Like, it becomes normal, the leaders don't see it as anything, there's just nonchalance, life goes on. Third most populous country in the world by 2050, we are not ready. Even if we were to get serious as a nation, it will take about 100 years to build the infrastructure that population will need, not to talk of now that we are still sleeping. And you see, the issue of education and caring for the younger generation is a vicious cycle between education and fertility. It's correlated that
the more educated a woman is,
the more educated a woman is, the less. So you see, we're just going to be going round and round while the population skyrockets, and then nothing is being done about it. Without fear of any contradiction, I can tell you that the government is doing nothing, absolutely nothing, in my opinion, because nothing at scale is being done to take children out of. It's not enough to say education is free. No, what does that even mean? Take these children off the streets. In Abuja now, you see a woman who sits on the street with a child of less than a year at 12 midnight that she's begging. Arrest those people. First offenders, warn them. Second offenders, collect those children from them. How can you bring out a child at 12 midnight that you are begging for?
What do you want them to eat if they're
No, please. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse.
It is an excuse. If you don't have food, it's going to push you. Hunger will push you out.
That's child abuse.
I disagree with that.
They don't have to
if
come
you
out
are
with the child.
able-bodied, there's no reason why you can get a job.
And at 12 midnight?
Yes.
I mean, literally at 12 midnight.
Kind of
literally, I'm not talking like...
Like, if you are able-bodied, you've got hands, you've got legs, you've got eyes. No, there's so many things you can do.
Disagree with you. They have all hands, leg, and everything, but they don't have
white-collar jobs. No, they are looking for a specific kind of jobs. And the same jobs we run away from here, we go abroad and we do the same
Exactly.
No, please don't say that, because
It's
you know
the
what?
reality of things.
You want them to not do white-collar jobs and try some other work. But where's the funding to set up and to scale up?
Totally different conversation.
It's the same.
Let me
I'm
support
saying-
what Zuma is saying, right? When I was in the UK doing my master's, while we were waiting for jobs, we had doctors ready to clean while waiting for cleaning jobs. I told them I'd rather go back to Takum local government and collect. There's no way you tell me that General Hospital Takum will not employ me. You get my point? Yeah, of course, Abuja and Lagos, I might not get a job, but then I will not clean while waiting for a job because I won't do it in Nigeria. Why do it in the UK?
Okay, so for me, I'm going to use Vinka's words. We need to start taxing sex to reduce birth rates.
You're spying on my...
I had it here. This is like... we have too many children.
That's a very interesting
Like,
concept.
we have too many children for no reason. You see people who cannot afford 3 square meals, and you see them having 6, 7 children. And they will now start seeking. You now start looking at me that I have the number of children I have. Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I don't like seeing people around me? I'm not, but because I'm trying to put my resources, I'm trying to manage my resources in a way that can accommodate, you know, a certain lifestyle that I desire for myself. I don't have issues particularly with the population explosion we are experiencing and will be experiencing. A growing population indicates a growing workforce that can be harnessed if properly groomed. You know, the challenge I have is our lack of preparedness for the future. I mean, we need to aggressively invest in agriculture. We need to aggressively invest in education. Agriculture, the people need to eat, right? The people babies we are making every day. And also we need to educate them so they can be useful to themselves and also to the world at large. As far as we are able to reach that, we will be fine. And Andy, I disagree. The school feeding was designed to keep children in school. Because one of the issues one of the reasons it was designed was because we noticed that a lot of children don't come to school because they don't even have food to eat.
Yeah.
And then when they are sure that there is food in school, they are more likely to go to school and stay in school. And that was done at scale.
I don't necessarily agree that we are 230 million people.
I was coming there.
I just didn't want to, disagree on that
I feel
part.
that I know we are overpopulated, but I'm not sure we are 230 people. And I can just take one single data point, like the
NIN.
subscribers data that we have. We have about 224 million subscribers. Average subscriber has 2 lines. Divide that by 2, that's 100 or something. Adds the percentage of those that are in their teens that will not have cell phones. You're looking at somewhere around 180, 170. But I do agree that Nigeria is overpopulated. I think that we have a population explosion issue, and I think that we need to look at it. I was looking at some data before today, and in 1960, interestingly, Nigeria had a lower population than the UK, the US, France, and Germany. Interesting. And 65 years later, all right, we have more population than the UK, France, Germany, and we're trying to compete with the US
So
right now.
what changed? Healthcare?
I don't know. I mean, because when you look at the percentage change, all right, we're looking at 430%, all right, which is even higher than India and China, all right, put together. Fully enough. We're producing, on average, about anywhere from 3 to 5 million new people in Nigeria every day. And this is not from immigration. This is just from us. So you need to look at what is creating this.
It's healthcare.
And that's why you have to look at the growth rate. So the World Bank says the growth rate is 2.6. MBS says it is 3 point something. All right. What goes into this growth rate, there are 2 particular metrics that I look at: the fertility rate, the total fertility rate,
And mortality rate.
and the death rate and birth rate and all that. Now, the interesting thing about the total fertility rate in Nigeria is that it is 5.01, which means that for every woman, all right, of production age, all right, forgive my use of the word production, of reproductive age, you are entitled, we have the capacity of producing 5.
Nigerian women, they are busy. They are very busy.
And that's even a reduction because it used to be 6 point something, all right, in the 90s. So the reality today is, drill down on that data, you'll find out that 86% of women in Nigeria who are married or have a couple or are in a union don't use contraceptive. So we're very busy, okay, in the other room, but then traditionally and through religious reasons, these women are not doing what they need to do. So just to wrap up what I'm saying, what's the solution? We need to do a lot of education, all right, to let true religious channels, traditional channels, to let women and men and couples know the advantages of family planning. And then secondly, we need to tax sex. If you have more than 3 children, or more than 2 children, your tax rate should go up, period.
For the people who pay tax already.
Okay, so for me, I have 5 quick takes on this, and it's a good thing that Yinka already spoke to some of them. First of all, Nigerian population is married in politics. We're not sure, are we 230 million or 250 million? Or as you say, with your calculation, I mean, what is the exact population of Nigeria? Again, China did it successfully. 1 child per family. And just as you've said, in time past, we had this family planning, a campaign. The thing is our inconsistency with policies. Somehow, we jettisoned it along the way. But if you look at the cultural patterns and the religious patterns of us here in Nigeria, you see that some people just say, just keep having the child. It's against God's principles, yes, for you to not have, just have the children. Those are the children God has given you. But we need to, bring back the campaign for family planning. Finally, I'm looking at the local government level. It can be tackled at that level because they're the closest to the people. And so if we make them to be responsible at that level and to begin to, mount up the campaign at that level, we'll begin to see that people will stop having more than 2 children. Those are children you can care for adequately.
Thanks, Funke. Wow. Population is a strength, but it becomes a burden when we fail to value and invest in it.
No, Amaka, I imagine the same goes for most things. Here's one way to show value for human capital. Tackle insecurity. So insecurity is an existential threat, and existentialism is a philosophical movement that emphasizes individual freedom, choice, and responsibility in an inherently meaningless and absurd world. Nigeria is home to over 6 million internally displaced persons as a result of armed conflicts, banditry, and natural disasters. I don't know how many natural disasters we have. Millions of Nigerians face existential threats, and central to the theme of existentialism is that individuals must navigate their existence authentically, making choices that define their essence in a world devoid of meaning. Sustained killing and displacement of people from their ancestral homes sure meets the criteria of meaninglessness and absurdity. Yet, anytime we speak about self-defense, academic arguments against it surface, even as people and cultures are at the brink of extinction. Until government treats insecurity as seriously as the COVID-19 pandemic was treated, we cannot remain silent or normalize it, for that will amount to us being wicked to ourselves. We need a state of emergency on insecurity with a presidential task force holding daily meetings with daily media briefings on what government is doing to address insecurity, the welfare of internally displaced persons, and the efforts to resettle them. Clear deployment of technology must be demonstrated. By now, one would think our biggest investment as a country will be on military-grade drones and helicopters with the technology for rural communities to give signals when in danger and consequent rapid response. Urgent and robust response must be instituted because security is clearly our biggest challenge as a nation. How can such a dire security situation be handled as routine work? Our media is awash with conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine, It's good to think globally but act locally. Please, Nigerian media, come back home. Our villages, which used to be hubs for unwinding and celebrations such as weddings, religious holidays, have now become death traps, and it's deafening silence all around. Crickets, as Funke Treasure likes to say. Other than the measures I highlighted earlier, I'm renewing my call for the Nigerian government to give Nigerians the choice of acquiring and registering automatic firearms for self-defense, not the shaka bullets they currently license for people. I know many on this table and at home viewing do not agree with this, but what do you suggest?
Capital no.
Is preempting the
Security summit.
the response from this table, which is why he ended the advocacy the way he did.
What do you suggest?
Let me say that I agree with him about the insecurity. It's a huge problem. Offset, we're talking about how when I did my NYC in 1995 in Rivers State, then we used to go and we used to travel by road, night journey.
Yes.
Okay, between Port Harcourt and Lagos. We
Night
go through
bus.
Patani at that time. Sometimes we go through Onitsha and all that, you know, and we would drive. I mean, before I had my car, I would take a bus. When I got my car, we just do this. It was a road trip, day or night. We did that. It was that secure for us to be able to do that. Today, I wouldn't dream of doing that. So the insecurity problem is a huge problem, and we need to solve that problem. However, in solving one problem, we must not create another problem.
That's right.
And that's my concern when you say and advocate that Nigerians should be licensed to carry semi-automatic weapons. Now, the only reference point for your advocacy and for what you're suggesting today is the US. And the data that we see coming from there is not smiling. If you don't know, there are over 48,000 gun-related deaths in the US. Okay, so we will consider them as better at keeping record, right? 48,000 every year is a lot of deaths, okay, related to because people are licensed to carry guns and for whatever reasons feel the need to use that gun. In a country where we are struggling for regulation, for basic rights, okay, just basic rights. You want to give people the permission to carry guns, you're going to start seeing deaths on the in traffic, because somebody didn't like the way it was crossed and all that. It brings out his gun and he thinks that that's the way it's going to do it. So I think that we can face the insecurity issues by the communities, and trust me, I'm not undermining it or undervaluing it. But at the same time, we must not, in trying to solve that problem, create a worse one.
Andy, I really miss being able to wake up and say I'm going on a road trip. The insecurity situation has kind of like made everybody readjust their lifestyle in a way that we are constantly in a state of fear. And another thing that stood out for me in your advocacy is the fact that government was able, we should treat insecurity the way we treated COVID-19. The government was able to treat COVID-19 that way because they were able to get stakeholders buy-in through fear. Because everybody knew
you're going to die.
Anybody can die at any time. You don't even know your pre-existing condition or how it's going to treat you. So everybody were aligned. But when it comes to insecurity, the dynamics are different, right? Because people are benefiting from the situation, the continuation of the situation. So there is really little incentive, and it's really difficult to get all the communities, all the parties involved to align on what peace would look like. In my opinion, I think we'll be dealing with insecurity as it is now for a very long time. As far as the current system of government will run exists, because there will always be agitations and there will always be people fighting for one thing or the other. On the issue of carrying arms, you want someone to just bring out a gun because I said waka to him in traffic. Come on, I mean, okay, let me give you, in December, I was out. I told someone to excuse me, I was trying to pass. And then this guy told the security man to cock gun at me. That, who are you to tell me to say, excuse me? This guy was literally standing in the middle of the road. And I had to pause, like, okay, this person is probably drunk. I will not be a statistic. I just moved away because, and this is someone who was not carrying the gun himself. If he were carrying the gun himself,
He would probably have used it.
he would have used it. He had to tell someone. So Nigerians are not ready to carry guns. And the only place as Inka said, is the US where people get to carry guns. The outcomes are not great. And it's not going to reduce conflict as it is. It is going to, it's just going to lead to another form of oppression in the rural areas, a new form of violence in the urban areas. And beyond that, we don't have the infrastructure to license, to monitor, or to even conduct the necessary background check for gun ownership. So please, no guns yet.
I don't know if you recall, last year there was a schoolboy in the US who took his father's gun and opened fire on his schoolmates. The story made world, new headlines. I don't know if you remember, I forget now whether it's the US or the UK. A neighbor opened fire on a Nigerian doctor recently, right? So as Yinka said, the stats are not great. Even the US is trying to find a solution to this abuse of carrying guns there. Having said that, if you look at, you said something about the media. Let me quote you. You said the media should come home. Where is it now? Mm-hmm. Something about the media is reporting Ukraine and some other place, but they're not. Recall that during President Buhari's tenure, the media was asked to reduce the frequency with which we were reporting terrorist attacks because we were told that we were making the people panic. That's number one. Even at that, if you pick or look at a blog, every day we report it. I don't know whether you're reading newspapers or not, but we are reporting, we're not relenting. Even yesterday, I still listened to our legislators talking about some summits for security. Already, Funke Egbemode replies that it's going to be the same jamboree. Committees and subcommittees, they're going to have papers printed. Some people are going to get contracts. They're going to say the same thing. Probably the people behind the terrorism and insecurity will be at the high table as well. They will speak all the grammar, and then at the end of the day, they'll publish something, and then the cycle goes on again. So it is really the willpower of the government to look at where they know. Remember what Obasanjo said sometime, President Obasanjo said, police no robbers, no the thieves no police. It's the same thing with this security thing. I believe that our intelligence apparatus, our intelligence system, the people behind, they know where these things are. Imagine that terrorists went and captured soldiers. It happened this week, didn't it?
Yeah.
So there's something not tallying right here. And until there's willpower to confront these people and name and shame and make somebody a scapegoat, we're going to continue like this. Carrying guns is not going to solve it. In fact, it's going to make it escalate.
Did you see the news about one of the people kidnapped on the Abuja-Kaduna train? I said he ran into one of the kidnappers at the mosque in Kano. And then he said hello to him. Wow. And I'm like, what's going on here? Wow. It wasn't the news.
Yeah,
Wow.
I feel very sad every time I watch the local news and I see that ticker underneath. Maybe another 200 killed, gone down. It's not even red. It's not read out. It's just a ticker at the bottom.
Because they accused us of making people panic.
Well, one of the things that I think the challenge that we have is the lack of value for human life. It's become almost like a person is a chicken. You know, when a person dies, we don't relate it with our family members or ourselves. It's just like
to us.
It's very distant.
Yeah.
And we've had a challenge of celebrating incompetence or weaponizing incompetence. I mean, one of the core requirements of a government or responsibilities is security.
Protection.
And, you know, the fact that the government cannot provide us with security, you know, you begin to wonder, I mean, that should be the core criterion for selecting, you know, a government, anybody to go over. What is your plan for security? But then it becomes difficult because where are the weapons being used coming from? For terrorists to be able to kidnap soldiers, it means that the terrorists were better armed.
Have you seen our northern borders?
So
How porous it is?
yeah, all this has to do with the fact that the people in authority need the political thuggery. And those weapons, many times, you know, are coming in from questionable sources. Where are they coming from? And so at the end of, you know, whatever political season there is, you know, if these things have come in already, then the people have to be kept, you know, they have to do something, and now they're empowered. So I think we need to look to the government again, you know, and ask them some questions in terms of access to the weapons. You know, where are the weapons coming from? Can there be a clampdown? I understand that Boko Haram is now boasting that they're using drones to, but we know, so we know about all these things. You know, the government has access.
So what I'm saying is this is an emergency of every day. Go to Plateau State today. Go to Benue State. Every day.
The media is reporting.
No. Mainstream media is not doing enough. Every day, if they kill one person, report it. Anyways, there's a concept called MAD. Make we dey choose our MAD. Mutually assured deterrent or mutually assured destruction. Now, as they do me and my people, now I might talk. Talk your own.
Talk your own. Make me hear. Trust you, and myself, I want to talk my own now. Make our society for better. Yes, and I start on a celebratory note. I returned to Abeokuta last week via train, and I'm happy to report that Laderin Road, the link from the station into the city, is now motorable. Whoop, 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 woo! And this feels like a personal victory for me. A year ago, I raised concerns about that road here at the table. The monologue went viral and sparked a series of actions. Recall that the Ogun State House of Assembly had mandated the governor to fix that road, despite the jurisdictional issues over it being a federal road. The good news is that the NRC put out a tweet last week thanking the state government, that's the Ogun State government, for the reconstruction. Now, that's a huge win for commuters and a reason to consider the train if you're traveling from Lagos to Abeokuta. This is what journalistic impact looks like. The media's constitutional mandate is to hold power to account, and governance should center on the welfare of the people. And when institutions fall short, the press must shine the light. And now to Ibadan-Ife-Ilesha Road in southwestern Nigeria. Again, recall that following a trip to Ogun State at Easter, I mentioned the deplorable condition of that road. Well, veteran editor and columnist Lasisi Olagunju has amplified it in the Tribune with a piece titled "The Shame of Ibadan-Ife-Ilesha Road." Hear him. Nigerians of all states lose lives and limbs on that road daily. Death by installments on the road is harrowing, and it's a daily experience. He described that road as the worst in Nigeria, a death trap connecting 3 states to Lagos and the north. I'd asked whether the Ooni of Ife uses that road on his many Lagos trips. Lasisi takes it further, questioning why 3 federal ministers, 8 senators, and numerous APC and PDP representatives from the affected states have remained silent as that road deteriorates. Really, if the federal government cannot maintain vital interstate roads, perhaps it is time to devolve responsibility to the states they traverse. Infrastructure affects lives. The press must continue to amplify these issues, not just to report, but to drive change.
Oh, shit, traveling journalist.
Same press that Andy is.
So you see, Andy, we're doing...
You people have to talk about.
We are, and I'm going to take you up on that.
My response to your advocacy is very short. If we are still complaining about road, how difficult is it to make a road, to build road in the 21st century? People are going to space.
You are still dealing with roads. I hear you.
Road. We have tar, we have bitumen, we have engineers. Road. I mean, make other people talk. I don't have anything.
I'm really glad that the road, that train station to the city road has been fixed. About 3 years ago, I went to Abeokuta for a GFA event. And then when I came out, I was like, oh, nice train station.
Exactly.
And then I got outside because I was like, what?
It's such a contrast,
Like,
right?
how? Why? And ever since I said, oh, Zuma, come to Abeokuta. Nice to meet you. You know,
Safe journey.
Safe journey, but I'm not really sure, you know, I'm ready to put myself through that again. But now that it has been done, it will be a delight to get to experience the new road. So we're talking about that small road in Abeokuta, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Oyo-Ogbomosho road?
Okay, now.
So that road has been in construction for the past 25 years. It has been awarded and re-awarded multiple times. Thousands of lives have been lost on that road.
Have you seen Kwara to Niger State?
Hold on. You know, and then it recently got re-awarded again, March 2025. They canceled the initial contractors' contracts and then, you know, started engaged a new one. And they gave a June 2026 completion date. Hopefully, we will get to see. I mean, I grew up on that road. And 25 years later, it's still the same thing. And that is the major link connecting the north and the south. I mean, there's nowhere you want to go. You're coming from Niger, you're coming from Kano, you're coming from wherever to Lagos, you have to pass through that road. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think something you shared and what you have just said, you know, I just started thinking that if amplification is solving the problem, maybe that's what should be done, maybe more systematically. You know, if there was a platform, you know, for advocating for specific roads, you know, this road is bad. The people in the area, this is bad with the
They
videos.
know.
And I know they know, but you know, it's the shame and the amplification. It's not for themselves.
This was
It's to embarrass the
amplified.
people that are, you know, embarrass them into action, the people that are responsible for ensuring that these roads are working. So if there was somewhere where people could put up, this road is bad, look at the video, see how terrible it is. And I've seen it happen. And when that is done, it looks like something happens.
Well, sometimes, I mean, remember the Ota Road? There's a particular horrific road there. People talked about it. Even this Laderin Road. People talked about it many times. Nobody was listening until somebody did a video. Until I went there and I put them on the spot.
Yeah.
So I think our government likes being put on the spot and being dragged.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, why?
Yeah.
That Ibadan-Elisha Road is horrific. I haven't seen potholes as big as craters. I mean, diversions, multiple diversions, you lose count. If you're new on that road, you're probably going to have an accident because those who ply the road know where to how to meander and all of that. No,
You're
it's not
describing
nice.
thousands of routes.
In
How many
Nigeria, I
videos
mean,
are
like
we
pretty
gonna
much
do?
everywhere you turn.
We keep giving the descriptions. We keep talking. Yinka.
And you call out who is responsible.
we call them
call
out.
out the number of deaths.
I think kudos to you for the advocacy on the about the train ride and all that. I was having a conversation recently with my sister, and she asked me that these your advocacies, do they listen? That was a question she
Do
asked.
they work? You know.
Do they listen? You know, you guys spend a lot of time with it, but do they listen? And I said, yeah, they do. They do. They might not necessarily make a lot of noise about it, but they do. You know, and I quoted a few examples. For instance, the one when we talked about the terrible travel experience at the Lagos airport, at the international airport.
Even Nel Fund, the one you talked about, is
Yes.
getting attention.
It's getting
now.
a lot of attention right
It's
now.
getting
as well.
attention.
Yeah. So I said they listen, they see it, but they don't necessarily make a lot of noise, but they come at the back end to try to like manage the communication. Sometimes
That's right.
they don't like it, so they come and try to like share the experience. One thing we must not do is stop.
Yeah.
We must not stop because it can be very frustrating to spend a lot of time doing what we do here, and it doesn't seem as if there is resolution or there is progress. But we must not stop. We have to keep advocating. We have to keep saying it. We have to keep shaming,
Yes,
which is
indeed.
why I believe in naming and shaming.
Yes,
The
yes.
idea of just making it easy for them. No, let's put them on the spot. Let's give them the solutions, okay? And let's also make sure that they get the kind of attention, it gets the kind of attention that it deserves. I know that there are a lot of challenges that we're facing as a country. But like Zuma said, this particular road has been awarded and re-awarded. So it's not as if it was not in the attention of the government. It's just corruption has taken place, basically. So we just have to keep doing what we're doing, whether they're listening or not.
They're actually listening.
They are listening.
Yeah.
They are. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. But you see, we will keep shining the light on issues that matter to ensure that we give them the attention that they deserve.
Flowing with that, let me say that our boys matter. It's time we match this value with action. Did you know that 6 out of 10 out-of-school children globally are boys? Did you know that adolescent boys are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than girls? Did you know that 7 out of 10 juvenile offenders in Nigeria are boys? May 16, 2025 was International Boys' Day, with the theme, Empowering Boys for a Brighter Future. And not enough men were seen advocating for the younger generation. Too often, women bear the primary burden of nurturing boys, while men remain passive or absent. This imbalance limits boys' access to positive male role models and perpetuates cycles of disconnection and misdirection, forgetting that exemplary male leadership is critical to boys' emotional and mental well-being. To truly bridge the social and systemic gaps boys face, we must intentionally connect them with men who exhibit integrity, emotional intelligence, and respect. As boys learn through observation, and this provides a roadmap for them to follow. We must intentionally expose them to men who model vulnerability and gender equality, as challenging these norms foster healthier identities and help them resist the societal pressure to suppress emotions or prioritize dominance. We must intentionally expose them to men who can provide relatable insights that women, despite their vital contributions, may not be fully able to replicate due to differing experiences. Boys need guidance to navigate adolescence, relationships, and careers. Boys need good men to grow into good men, as they cannot exemplify what they can't conceive, and they cannot conceive what they have no exposure to. It takes a village. Empowering boys for a brighter future isn't just a theme, it's an urgent necessity. You don't have to be a father to be a part of this. You can be an uncle, a mentor, a friend, or a brother, actively modeling positive leadership, offering consistent mentorship, challenging harmful stereotypes, and equipping boys to become responsible, empathetic men. It's time for men to stand alongside women and share the responsibility of nurturing the next generation. It's time to give the boys the guidance they need and prepare them for a future that does not reward badly behaved men.
I would like to speak on this. It's tied to my advocacy because when
Love it.
we have so many sperm donors, not enough fathers. That's what's going on.
Say it again, sis.
Yeah, so will the real men please stand up? It could be because maybe the men didn't have fathers, so they don't.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle, it's vicious. But we need to focus on building the family unit. And I agree with a lot of what you've said in that you don't even have to be a father. You have to, to do this.
You just have to be interested.
Understand that it's going to come back to you, actually. That's the thing. And a woman does not know how to be a man. So there's only so far a woman raises a man, and then she especially when they get to the adolescent years, she can't relate. There are certain things she cannot advise him on. She doesn't have wet dreams. She doesn't know how to talk to a woman. She doesn't know about those responsibilities. She cannot teach him to be a man. And so we need men. Men, you need to stand up, and you need to take this very seriously. And just find some boys out there to mentor. It's on you.
I mean, what's not to like about this particular advocacy? Boys need good men to grow into good men. Spot on. And you see, men are always complaining, hey, you women, you're always creating things for women. Who holds on our hand? You create something for the boys. Yes. We do not see men, not enough men are advocating for boys, even for men issues. It's still we women
that will still carry the matter on our head.
Boys need positive role model. I just must thank you, Zuma. You hit the nail right on the head. These two men here, I'm waiting for them to talk. Then I'll come back.
I hope I'm not guilty as charged because I didn't know there was an international day for boys.
Can you imagine?
Remember Mother's Day.
Let me just confess. However, having said that, it's a complex situation, especially in societies like ours, where there's a lot of patriarchy. It's expected that fathers go to work. The women that
mothers go to work too, by the way.
No, I'm coming. The women, when you see a working family, you are talking about people with education and they are exposed. They don't have these problems. Where you have this challenge is usually in the lower economic strata of the society. And in those situations, mostly the men go out to do the work while
they don't think they're responsible to the
for the children, not just the boys, just the children generally. Even women need their fathers.
Yeah.
It's not they need that father figure as they're growing up. So that's why I said it's convoluted from economic reasons, cultural reasons. I will also add polygamy, you know?
Yes.
If you have 10 wives, like Chief Yinka here now, maybe.
And his numerous women.
And, you know, you have, they are in different houses, okay? There's so much time you can spend on it. So it's a very complex issue, but I totally agree with the advocacy. We need to be intentional about being there for the boys.
I mean, I remember creating a program when I was general manager Radio 1. I called it Fathers Forum.
Mm.
We only did it once. The men did, till today, they didn't run with it. You know, so what else can we do? Yinka?
It's an emotional conversation for me. You know, seriously, it's an emotional one for me. I mean, my son turned 18 March this year. And as part of his coming of age, we organized, when I say we, I mean his uncles, including me, we organized a kind of bal bisma for him, some kind of engagement. And the idea exactly was what you were trying to do here, to have a very candid conversation with him about what it means to be a man. Trying to look at society's expectation and also how he has to realize the fact that it needs to come to that position of his recognition of himself as a man and what that means. And I say this with very cautious optimism that boys today are endangered and they don't know about it because they imagine a world that looks like the kind of world their mothers lived in. But the reality is that the world that they will grow up into doesn't look like that.
And the girls nowadays don't look like their mothers.
The girls don't look like that.
No way.
But they are prepped up to go into a world that looks like the world that their mothers and their fathers lived in. And so we have to start telling them the truth. We also have to start letting them understand that the demographics is not favoring them. I was talking to some people yesterday that when you look at the education data in Nigeria as of today, early education, all right, and even secondary school and tertiary. In the south of Nigeria, and the devil is in the detail, okay? Because when you look at the national data for Nigeria, it says there are more boys in school than girls. But when you disaggregate the data, what you see that in the south, there are more girls in school than boys. And when you disaggregate it by geopolitical zone, you tend to see that in some areas like the Southeast and the South Side, it's an epidemic.
Yes, yes.
Boys are not going to school. They're doing something else. They're trading, they're doing whatever. And we need to start having this, conversations at very high level. I'm happy to announce that, I had this collaboration with the DSVA in Lagos State. They started this King's Club thing in Lagos where they identify certain male mentors to go to these schools. Okay, so they established this club. It's called King's Club.
That's great.
Filled up with teenage boys, basically. And then they get mentors from the bigger society, larger society, to come and mentor these boys.
them, yeah.
So I'm one of those mentors, and I've had engagements with these boys and everything.
I love.
So, we can only do so much, but I agree absolutely with your advocacy. We need to have these conversations.
We need a critical mass of men buying into this sort of vision that you've shared with us, Yinka. Well
And
done.
it's a global issue.
It's a global
it's
issue.
not only
Yeah.
here, it's a global issue. If you see, so the women are taking over. But not time.
Men, we need you to do more. We need you to step up. We need you to take an interest in a boy today and give him a chance at being a better man. Love says if it matters, then invest in it. We've spoken our minds. Now it's time to speak yours, matched with action.
right.
Till next time, same channel. It's goodbye from all of us.
Peace.
Bye.